Alrighty, folks, we are going to dig into some details that Mike and the team at Rentometer are digging into, and it's actually a product that goes by the name Atlas. As you will see, Atlas is really just a collection of data that is maybe not the most sexy, the most exciting thing. However, when you take Atlas and the amazing data set, because let's be clear, folks, it always starts with the data, and then you plug in AI, now you have some magic. So, Mike, why don't you just kind of level set what is Atlas, why did you build it, and then we'll get into how did you unlock the power with AI.
Yeah, great. That's a great setup. So Atlas is foundational to a lot of what everybody is doing, right? In terms of like, if you're going to invest in a market, it's good to understand not just the rental data aspect of it, but what are the economic signals that you're getting? What are the economic and the what's the other word I'm looking for? The demographic details. Mm-hmm. So we took that kind of foundational data and said, let's put it all in one place. So it's rental data, it's economic data, and it's demographic data. So you can quickly get a snapshot of a particular city. So the real power of Atlas is it goes across tens of thousands of different boundaries. Right. So states, counties, cities, neighborhoods, zip codes, school districts. Mm. And we haven't probably stopped with the boundary definition, but it's a clear presentation across a precise boundary.
Oh, I love that. And again, folks, one of the things that we're going to very quickly learn about AI, if we haven't learned it already, is it's an amazing at what it does, but it relies on the underlying data, right? If it doesn't have a good data source, it could hallucinate. It could give misinformation. So the fact that Mike and the team at Rentometer has gone out and collected just this raw data, put it all in one place that's now ticked and tied, and then you unleash AI, now you can do some magic. Is that fair?
That is very fair. Having a trusted source, a reliable, consistent data set that's going to deliver the same thing every time is really critical to shortcut any of that hallucination or eliminate. I guess you can't eliminate all of it, but most of that hallucination related to compiling statistics and data.
So it's clear to me that Atlas is available for the masses, right? My community and frankly everyone. I'm curious. I know you just like literally in the last 48 hours got it connected with an AI with Claude. Let's be clear. Do you think that's going to become a base setup, or would all individual investors have to get their own Claude or whatnot? Are you going to help us make that a standard, or do you have any idea yet?
We've evaluated or are evaluating both paths. The thing we started with building it into our product.
Okay.
And so, to your point, for the small investor, low technical lift and just start using it. Right. But then we looked at kind of the limitations of that because we have to put such guardrails on it. We'd be guessing what every one of your every one of our customers is trying to do. So we said, let's go down the other path and see what that looks like. So now we've built it so that a $20 Claude account can access this data, and we haven't released it yet. It's like you said, it's new.
Yeah, the CEO is playing with it, so it's pretty new. Yes, yes.
And so we haven't decided what the best path is. I am all for solving the technical problem for our customers because they are small. They don't have the technical scale. So anything that we can do to make it easier, we're on it. But some of the limitations might feel kind of grinding, and so it's like maybe you want to cut loose.
Well, folks, this is an opportunity for you to get involved, give some feedback. If you are an AI ninja, leave the comments below. What would you rather do? Would you rather plug in your own Claude agent to do this, or would you like it to come with kind of the cake already in the oven? So let us know. Again, no right, no wrong answers, just some opinions.
There really isn't. And I think there's other kind of alternatives as well. And I think it's going to be an all of the above. some people are going to want to do it themselves. Some people are going to want to, and we're preparing for all of that. So
awesome. Well, let's take a look at what you've done. So why don't you set up what you've done, and then I'll bring it up. So you took this atlas and you did something with it. What was the task that you asked it to do?
So if you show the screen, I'll show you a very boring atlas presentation, right? So this is great. It's all the information you want about Hamilton, Ohio. And I can go, I can look at neighborhoods in Hamilton and see the rents by different neighborhoods. And so I can look at West Hamilton. Here's the rents in West Hamilton. And the neighborhood level, there isn't a lot of economic and demographic data available. But when you look at the city level, let me get back to the city here, Hamilton. So you have the rents, so all the rent data is there, but then you have the area profile, the demographic and the economic context. So household income, median age, poverty rate, renter share, all of this stuff comes into play at some point. But like we were just talking about, this is like reading a 10,000 page or 50,000 page book. And Hamilton is on page 6,877.
Yeah. Probably not going to get there. Yeah. Probably not going to make it to that page.
So but the data is sitting there in this structure, which makes it really powerful. So the first thing I said was, well, if I'm looking in Ohio, I'm an out-of-state investor. I don't know much about the market. Give me a top 10 or give me a top list of places that I might want to think of. And use some criteria and use like a gross rent yield litmus test. So the first thing I did was just using Claude and the connection to Atlas, it came back with gross rent yield discovery, cash on cash watch list. So basically what this is just a report that says it's the leaderboard, right? Garfield Heights. 16.9%. That's the best. Down to Cleveland Heights, and there's a lot more on the list, but I just wanted a top list.
Right.
Now, the thing that's interesting is we did use some criteria here to, set some guardrails. You can set the guardrails to whatever you want. You don't have to set guardrails if you don't want. Right. But what I asked it to do was look for some signals that I need to watch out for when I start to dig deeper. Effective property tax rate is one of the biggest ones I watch for now. Is I want it flagged if it's a high effective property tax, because the thing I see that's eating up yield, cash on cash return, is property taxes.
Yeah,
great top line number with the gross rent yield, and then you get into it and there's an HOA fee, or there's a real high property tax.
I like it.
So it generates the list, and then watch list. What could erode the cash on cash? And then it actually it gives some warnings here, and then it goes city by city. The ones that have favorable and unfavorable things to look out for, and then cash on cash analysis and things like that. I really some context or to provide an example with context.
No, I love that. We do have a little bit of a gardening going around me. Sorry about that if you're hearing anything in the background. Nothing I can do about that. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
So again, I love the fact that you basically set up the criteria, you use the data set that you trust, and it produced this list for you. Pretty powerful.
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that, the gardening, because I'm on the 15th floor in Boston, and I was like, I don't think there can be any gardening going on.
No, it's once a month they come by and trim our bushes whether we need it or not. So
yeah. That's fair. So anyways, so what I did was I said, okay, now I know a little bit about Ohio. Let me just do a comparison between two of the cities. So I took Parma and Hamilton, and I just said, again, similar kind of questioning, but go a little bit deeper on each city. So, it gives me an overview of each of the cities, the key entry points. You know, what are the rents in each city, the median home value, the effective property tax rate, and then some of the economic and demographic info that would help me, you know, again, understand each of these cities. And then, you know, an investor read. I don't want this. We can't set it up so that it gives investment advice. We're not investment advisors, but the user can do it. You know, instruct it any way they want. Again, we're providing the foundational data set here to, and the beauty of having it in Claude, having it available in Claude is you can kind of go where you want to go, and that's the trade-off with having it built in within our own platform versus having a connection to our platform. So if it's connected, you can take it where you want, which is pretty much what I've done here.
I love that. So again, is Atlas available to the masses today, or is it still a secret in the background?
No, Atlas is available. It's rentometer.com under resources. It's Atlas. The UI is a little bit wonky when you initially start up because we built it for bots and AI to search it, right? And so we haven't reconciled. Once you get past the first 2 clicks, you're into a nice format, which is this format here. So you can see all the boundaries that are available to you here, and you can see the hierarchy. You're in the U.S., Ohio, Butler County.
It's funny. One of the things that I would do, and again, I'm just thinking out loud here. Again, you focused on Ohio, gave it some criteria, then went to couple of cities. Again, given the data set, I might ask crazy questions like, where's the population growth the most of 30 to 40-year-olds? Or where is, you know, high school education growing, or other variables? And again, not focus on it by state, because, you know, we've talked about Rentometer helping people be that metal detector, but you can even step back further and like, hey, at a macro level, like all 50 states, where are millennials today? Like, where are millennials going? Because again, eventually millennials ideally will have kids, and that will do this, and then we'll do that. And you can make some pretty big macro decisions even before getting down to a state level. Is that correct?
Totally. And this is available nationally, right? I use the state level just to keep it manageable, state and city level, just for this first pass to keep it manageable. But I made a mistake. I asked it to, not a mistake, I asked it to do something that it wasn't indexed to do, right? So it said, oh, I can't do that. But all of this stuff is going to be indexed, and the instructions are going to be clear. If somebody wants to know, what I did was I said, give me 5 neighborhoods that rent is below $2,000 and income is above a certain level, right? And the problem was the neighborhoods weren't indexed yet. So I sent that through to the dev team. They'll get that fixed. They'll be indexed. So now every neighborhood in the country will be ranked, and you'll be able to.
This is where AI and data get really exciting to a guy like me who loves just trying to geek out at the macro, right? If you can start at the macro level and then get micro, that's where the magic happens. So I would be asking this thing some broader questions. You know, I would ask them about, hey, where are the 30 and 40-year-olds growing? Where are they shrinking? Right? Where are more, you know, like, where are the top schools, not bottom schools? I'd be asking these macro questions because I don't want to assume anything, right? I wouldn't want to assume that Ohio's the best state, or Alabama, or North Carolina. I want to ask the big macro question and see if we can't find a sleepy town that everybody's missing.
Right. Well, I mean, a couple comments there. One of the things that I found a great little town. It's Sumter, South Carolina. Right off the bat, no price adjustment or anything. This property cash flowed, you know, it would cash flow. Nice looking, you know, small little property. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I saw some conflicting info on the property taxes. It turns out they have a different tax rate for owner occupied. So
yeah.
the owner occupied rate was great, but the investor tax rate was triple. Wiped out the return. I couldn't understand why this property that looked overpriced was so attractive. And then I realized there's this little thing. So, for example, just knowing where all those little landmines are that you get far down the road, and then you find out, oh, it's a different investor tax rate. So you made a bad assumption.
Yeah, that's why you guys are the metal detector, but that doesn't mean that you, the operator of that metal detector, aren't responsible for digging deeper. Just because it went beep, beep, beep doesn't mean it's gold. It could be a bottle cap or something else. So folks, you got to do the work.
Yeah. The second comment that I have is this has historically not been the area. We've always had this data available, and we've always done some form of presenting it. But like I said, it's a static, dry data set. You don't get excited about it. It's not dynamic. It's just great as a reference. And so where we are very strong, which is what you are talking about, is when you get to the micro level, right? Yeah. So we've built our business at the micro level, hyper-local data, hyper-local analysis. So when you get to Hamilton, Ohio, and you say, I really like this market, I think I've uncovered any of the landmines.
Yep.
Let me have 10 properties. Show me 10 properties on the market right now that have the potential to cash on cash for me.
No, I agree. Again, I think that's why you keep coming back. The audience loves you. You're doing the real stuff to help people. Everybody asks what, especially out-of-state investors, what's stuff going to rent for, and you have the level of detail and granularity at the micro. But now that you take the power of this monstrous data set, and then you layer on AI and just the ability to ask macro questions, it's going to make the micro more valuable. But it's just, it's got a waterfall to that. But it's going to be fun to watch.
It's funny too, because one of the things that I always think about when I'm putting this stuff together, in a prior business, prop tech business, we used to screen applicants we do hundreds of thousands of screenings every month for the large real estate apartment companies, the REITs. And we were the ones who always asked the question of, we always looked at it from the perspective of, how do I accept more people? Right. A lot of people, when they think of screening, they think, I'm looking for every detail so I can reject this person. Yeah. Like, I want to reject everybody. Well, if you reject everybody, you have no revenue.
Exactly. It kind of defeats the purpose.
If you can find the people on the margin because you have the information and you know how to deal with the information, you find those people on the margin, you've got a competitive advantage. Amen. Because now you're taking people in that look on the surface, but when you dig a little deeper and you know the variables, you say, no, this person performs great. Your competitor is going to reject them. You're not, and you're going to get somebody in the property for 3 years, right? And I see this as the same thing. We're looking to help you find deals to do, not to keep you from doing deals. Find the deals that you're going to do. Find the niches that people can't see.
Love it. Again, folks, go to rentometer.com, right there on the screen. Been there the whole time. Check out resources, check out Atlas, deal worksheet, all kinds of stuff there for you. Mike, give us your closing thoughts.
This is a very exciting time. AI is making things interesting for everybody, I'm sure. And I say to everybody, swim as fast as you can so you can get on top of the wave.
There you go.
You don't want to be under it.
That's exactly right. All right, Mike, take care. Have a good week.
Thank you.